Good evening, I'll call the order committee of the whole for Tuesday, May 13, 2025. Let the record show that all of them are present with the exception of Alderman Panis. First on the agenda, we've got PL 56-25 by Mayor Olean. That the Common Council act as lead agency determines that the rotating airport beacon replacement project at the Cattaraugus County Olean Airport is a type 2 action. It's not subject to review, consistent with seeker regulations, and that no further review or action on behalf of the city of Olean is required. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, this is, as you know, we have to go to the seeker anytime we do something. This is just letting, know that we've accomplished that, we went to the seeker, and there's no further action needed.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions? Seeing none, could I get a motion? I'll make a motion. Could I get a second?
A second.
Seconded by Alderman Forney. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried and is referred to tonight's regular meeting. PL 57-25 by Mayor Elio, that the Common Council, as lead agency, determines that the airfield lighting signage, PAPI and REIL's replacement project at the Cattaraugus County Olean Airport is a type 2 action, is not subject to review, consistent with seeker regulations, and no further review or action on behalf of the Olean, City of Olean is required. Mr. Mayor.
As with the number one, number two is similar to that. But, the city line has no further action to take on this, other than passing the resolution.
Okay, and this is obviously a series of FAA funded
Yes,
upgrades at the airport.
yes.
Okay. Comments or questions on this one? Seeing none, could I get a sponsor? Motion is made by Alderman McCall. Could I get a second? Seconded by Alderman Anastasia. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried and is referred to tonight's regular meeting. PL 58-25 by Mayor Elliott to authorize the mayor to execute the coordinating partner public transportation services sponsorship agreement for public transportation services in Cattaraugus County. Mr. Mayor.
We have Gary here, I'll speak to this.
Gary.
Good evening. Is that on? Okay. This is a 3-year agreement. It begins January 1, 2025, goes to 26 and 27. The partner share stays the same on $30,000 annually, which is due by February 15th. They are very gracious with us, obviously, this year, and realize their fiscal year starts June 1.
Okay, so this is in relationship to Allegheny County taking over the OATS program, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, comments or questions on this? Seeing none, could I get a sponsor? Motion is made by Alderman McCall. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried and is referred to tonight's regular meeting. PL 59-25 by Mayor Elio to authorize the mayor to execute bus shelter agreement with the county of Allegheny.
Gary, you're going to speak now.
Yeah, this I thought was important. I actually requested this agreement be drawn up because our shelters were paid for by federal transit admin funds, and so there's useful life left on them, and so it really needs to be memorialized that we will care for them, we will continue to insure them, and they are in our public right of way, and so all of those items are outlined.
Okay. Comments or questions? See none. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion is made by Alderman Robinson. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Forney. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried and is referred to tonight's regular meeting. PL 60-25 by Mayor Elliott to adopt the Title VI plan for the city of Olean.
Also, we carry.
I am the city's Title VI coordinator. I generally come to you about every 3 years, sometimes on occasion annually. I do indeed look at this on an annual basis. We are generally audited on this because of us being the sponsor of the OATS previously. It was a triennial audit. This was one thing that they would go through. However, while we're here discussing OATS, I thought it would be best to remove the OATS language. However, the city
questions? Alderman Robinson?
Carrie, in the first paragraph of this PL, at the very end, it states Vietnam era veteran status. Is there a reason why it just doesn't say veteran status? So eliminate
In the
that wording,
resolution?
because then we're excluding the people that are basically still alive.
That was worded pulled straight from the plan. This is the same resolution that's been passed before. So,
I'm sorry, what was the question, Brendan?
It was in the very first paragraph, at the very end, it states, where it states race, creed, color, at the very end, it states Vietnam era veterans.
Yep, that is pulled directly from the language of the plan.
Should that be changed to just veterans? I mean, why specific to Vietnam era veterans?
That's how the Federal Transit admin have it. I could contact, Washington to see why they have Vietnam and no other, or they're specific to that veteran as opposed to all the others served.
I guess I would just speculate because I think there was a negative connotation with the Vietnam era veterans as far as.
Same with all of them.
I'd be glad to, contact them and pose that question and report back.
I personally would like to know.
Okay.
When does this have to be done by? This is one we've done before, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no deadline. It
Okay.
was, just an update to the removal of the old language. Otherwise, everything's in place, how it was, approved by, the agency prior to this.
Okay.
I believe that would have been in 24,
John?
or 20.
So can't you just,
Alderman Bennett.
can't we just amend that to just change it in our own to say veteran status?
In the resolution? Sure.
Just make the amendment here to change it to veteran status, which would still encompass that and everything else.
Any problem with that, Vernon? You good with that?
No,
Okay.
no. If we're gonna eliminate discrimination against all these people or different groups, then the veteran should just be veteran, not Vietnam era veteran.
Okay.
Because that means you're discriminating against me, so
Okay.
then I take offense.
All right, we can make that amendment when we get into the regular meeting. Well, actually, no, we can do that right here because it's PL. All right? Let's take a look here. So why don't we go ahead and we'll just vote on this here, and then when we get into the regular meeting, we'll strike Vietnam era. Okay. All right, can I get a sponsor?
A sponsor.
Motion's made by Alderman McCall, can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Alderman Robinson, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried, referred to the next regular meeting. I'll make a motion to adjourn, can I get a second? Seconded by Alderman Anastasia, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried. Okay. I call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Will the clerk please call the attendance roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Here.
Alderman Panis, Alderwoman Forney,
Here.
Alderwoman McCall,
Here.
Alderman Robinson,
Here.
Alderman Anastasia,
Here.
Alderman Crawford.
Here.
You
Please rise for the invocation and pledge allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of this community. In your name we pray.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reading correcting the approval of the minutes of the previous regular meeting.
The regular meeting of the Olean Common Council was held on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 at 6:10 p.m. Present were Alderman Crawford, Benyon, Panis, Forney, McCall, Robinson, and Anastasia. None were absent.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous regular meeting. Do I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Committee reports and unfinished council business.
None.
Communications from the mayor.
We have a proclamation for, to recognize monarch butterfly month. Brent, will you do it?
A special proclamation to recognize Monarch Butterfly Month, whereas the monarch butterfly is an iconic North American species whose multi-generational migration and metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly has captured the imagination of millions of Americans. Whereas in recent years, the populations of both the western and eastern monarch have experienced significant declines attributed to degradation and loss of summer and winter breeding habitat. Whereas the city of Olean recognizes the importance of creating and maintaining monarch habitat and has taken the National Wildlife Federation's Mayor's Monarch Pledge to commit to help restore habitat for the monarch in our parks, public gardens, and public buildings. Whereas Olean's downtown community gardens already include numerous pollinators and butterfly habitats. Therefore, I, William J. Hale, Mayor of the City of Olean, do hereby proclaim May as Monarch Butterfly Month in the City of Olean, and I urge all residents to support efforts to restore habitat for the monarch butterfly. In testimony thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of the City of Olean, the 13th day of May, 2025. For the City of Olean, New York, William J. Haleo, Mayor.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Miscellaneous communications.
None.
City official reports.
Monthly report of the city auditor, month ended April 2025. Fiscal summary as of April 30th, 2025.
Proposed legislation and referrals.
PL number 54-25 by Alderwoman McCall, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 for resolution by Council President. PL number 55-25 by Alderman Robinson, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 for resolution by Council President. PL number 56-25 by Mayor Haleo, referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 by Council President. PL number 57-25 by Mayor Haleo, referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 by Council President. PL number 58-25 by Mayor Haleo, referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 by Council President. PL number 59-25 by Mayor Haleo, referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 by Council President. PL number 60-25 by Mayor Haleo, referred to Committee of the Whole Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 by Council President. And PL number 61-25 by Mayor Haleo, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 by resolution by Council President.
Finance and bills.
None.
Resolutions.
Resolution number 54-25, PL number 54-25. Resolution authorizing the creation of capital fund number 252, bed tax.
Okay, we talked about this in committees, about establishing a fund in which the bed tax revenue that is received can be set aside for future projects and economic development, et cetera. We talked about this in committees. Comments or questions on this? Could I get a sponsor?
I'll sponsor.
Motion is made by Alderman Forney. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman McCall. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously. Resolution number 55-25, PL number 55-25.
No, it's not unanimous, right? It's, one
We
absent.
have one absent. Unanimous,
6-0.
6-0, 6-1, 6-0.
6-0.
Resolution number 55-25, PL number 55-25, authorizing the installation of streetlights on National Grid poles number 56 and number 60 on West Henley Street.
All right, we talked about this in committee. There is one change that needs to be made on this. So we need to remove pole 60. And so the only pole that needs to have a streetlight put on is 56. Someone double counted, so we just need one streetlight installed on pole 56. Okay, so any comments or questions on that? I need to make a motion to suspend the rules. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I'm going to make a motion to amend Resolution 55-25 to remove pole number 60. Okay, and authorize the installation of the streetlight on pole 56 only. Could I get a second for that?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Any further conversation on Resolution 55-25? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and, well, who would like to sponsor this?
I'll sponsor.
Okay. Okay, so a motion is made by Alderman Robinson. No? Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and make a motion. Could I get a second, please? Seconded by Alderman Anastasia. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Abstain.
Excuse me.
Abstain.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And Alderman Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 5 ayes, 1 absence, 1 abstention. Resolution number 56-25, PL number 56-25, out of committee by Alderman Crawford, seconded by Alderwoman Forney, that the Common Council as lead agency determines that the rotating airport beacon replacement project at the Cattaraugus County Olean Airport is a type 2 action, is not subject to review consistent with seeker regulations, and that no further review or action on behalf of the city of Olean is required.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6-0. Resolution number 57-25, PL number 57-25, out of committee by Alderwoman McCall, seconded by Alderman Anastasia. Anastasia. That the common council as lead agency determines that the airfield lighting signage, precision approach path indicators, and runway and identification light system replacement project at the Cattaraugus County Olean Airport is a type 2 action. It is not subject to review consistent with seeker regulations, and that no further review or action on behalf of the city of Olean is required.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, will clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 abstain, 1 absent. Resolution 58-25, PL number 58-25, out of committee by Alderwoman McCall and seconded by Alderman Robinson, to authorize the mayor to execute the coordinating partner public transportation services sponsorship agreement for public transportation services in Cattaraugus County.
Okay, comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absence. Resolution number 59-25, PL number 59-25, out of committee by Alderman Robinson, seconded by Alderwoman Forney, to authorize the mayor to execute a bus shelter agreement with the county of Olean.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yep.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absence. Resolution number 60-25, PL number 60-25, out of committee by Alderwoman McCall, seconded by Alderman Robinson, to adopt the Title VI plan for the city of Olean.
I'm gonna make a motion to suspend the rules. Do I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman McCall. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I'll make a motion to strike Vietnam era from the resolution to include all veteran statuses. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Any comments or questions on this? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 absence. Resolution number 61-25, PL number 61-25, to authorize a land swap between the city of Olean and Silent Do Good LLC for Isol Park and a previously abandoned portion of Maple Street.
Okay. We discussed this before. Comments or questions? Alderman Benyon.
What, I see it says abandoned portion. Is this not pertaining to the whole street, or what happened with the other portion?
This is just a paper section between,
Franklin.
Franklin and West County.
It says abandoned portion, so just that one section from there to there.
Yeah.
So in the past, the city's been reluctant to dissolve their property to private citizens when people have asked. So I'm not sure why suddenly we want to do it in this case. I also asked a while ago what the status of an environmental study on Isol Park was, being that every stitch of land around that area has been or is being remediated. I don't think that it's in the city's best interest to possibly take ownership of contaminated land. Whereas if the city would like to start getting into the practice of dissolving their property and selling to private citizens that then can go back on the tax rolls, then I'm all for that. If do that, then you continue to lease it for $1. They don't pay taxes on it. They maintain ownership, and we don't potentially get ourselves in the liability of contaminated land. I think that's a better process to do, and citywide to get the abandoned streets off, or the paper streets that aren't gonna be used, and put them back on the taxes and create some revenue.
Comments, questions, revolts?
I didn't think about what you just said, but I agree with you 100% because there is a lot of contamination down in that area. And there's a lot of brownfields being cleaned up down there, and it didn't go as far as where the park is, so I don't know, maybe we should postpone this for further discussion, refer to the attorney to see what she would recommend.
Mr. Mayor, what do you think?
I can't remember if we did produce documentation of that, but that wasn't part of the contamination, but we can postpone it, take it back, and, get the questions answered.
Okay. Can we investigate that, whether there were soil samples done of the parking space? Okay. Anything further? Okay. I'll make a motion to, postpone to the next regular meeting. Could I get a second? Second by Alderman Anastasia, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so next up we've got, we'll be opening public comment. At this time I'd like to give an opportunity to any members of the common council to make statement at this time. Seeing none, will the clerk please call read the public comment statement.
The public comment portion of the common council regular meeting is established to provide members of the community with the opportunity to publicly state their views, voice their concerns, or to provide input pertaining to any issue affecting city government. Additionally, the mayor, common council members, and city department heads encourage any person with questions to contact them at their offices.
Okay, at this time I would invite any members of the public to approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Meeting council, Mayor. I had a few comments on continuing music at the park, extremely loud music at the park. And we're concerned as not only residents of the neighborhood, but as park goers with young children. So I'd like to bring to your attention, if it's possible, to read a little bit from one of the greatest parks that the world has ever known. New York Central Park. Okay, Central Park. At Central Park, they have, great venues, great things happening, but they have some real rules that apply. So I just want to quote from an article that I was reading earlier, and it basically talks about Central Park's noise regulations. They're not meant to stifle the enjoyment, but rather to create an environment where all visitors can find solace in nature's embrace. The regulations exist to protect the park's delicate ecosystem, wildlife, and the well-being of parkgoers seeking respite from the bustling city by understanding and abiding by the regulations. The overall experience of Central Park has been a haven of tranquility and rejuvenation. So, if you want to know some of those rules that apply from one of the greatest parks in the world, New York State, by the way, there's amplified sound restrictions in the park. Okay? While music and performances add to the vibrant atmosphere of Central Park, like they do any other, amplified sound is subject to specific regulations. If you plan to organize an event or perform with amplified sound, you can obtain the necessary permits and adhere to the designated areas and times. So that, as a resident and a park goer, I'd love to see you guys adopt that for our local parks, because they're there for everyone to enjoy. But when freelance music with Bluetooth speakers that are this tall are playing music in the park where the youngest of our children are playing with their mothers and grandmothers, and we're listening to the most vulgar, profane sounds coming out of these gigantic speakers. It's not necessary. It's a Bluetooth age. Put it in your ear, blow your eardrums out. But really, it's extraordinary, not just at my local park. And we're not New York City, but when I go to my local park, that's my central park. There's wildlife, there's kids, there's youth. It's basically for their enjoyment. And when one person can play disruptive music, any kind of music, that interferes with everyone's enjoyment, then we need to do something. So I hope you can adopt some resolutions that will stop the broadcasting by amplified music in the park without a permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glenn Wall, Little Valley. Not surprisingly, I'd like to address the continuing problem of Olean sewage discharges. It's been good to see some progress these past few weeks with the dye testing of the catch basins. The table that you put in on the city's website shows that so far, just 6% of the 232 catch basins tested are plumbed into the sewer system. But that leads to some questions. Brad Camp's statement last October said about 75 catch basins are feeding into the sewer system. Which ones of those have been recently tested? How many more catch basins have not been tested? Which catch basins feed the 3 faulty lift stations, and have those been tested? Do you have enough data yet to decide whether to fix the problem from the catch basin and inflow side versus fixing it from the lift station capacity side? If not, what further information do you still need to gather? And really, if you would increase your transparency like so many people have asked, I wouldn't have those questions. You need to greatly increase the amount of information put out about this issue. You need weekly or at least bi-weekly updates to that information page explaining what the recent progress is and where the issue stands. Because after all, you are a public government, and so you should be more forthright in disseminating information as you receive it. If you don't like the website format for that, then at least provide updates at these meetings, the Common Council meetings. I'm surprised that you haven't figured out yet that when you keep the public in the dark, then the public will make their own assumptions, some accurate, some not. How hard is it to let the public know if you've met a second time with the Seneca Nation? And if so, what transpired at that meeting? How hard is it to let the public know which grant you've applied for and what the timeline is for that? How hard is it to let the public know what your plan to fix this is? I've heard that you don't like that people have been protesting so much about this, but you should know that the best way to reduce protests is to clearly demonstrate that you have finally prioritized this, that you have a plan, and that you're doing things often to move this forward. If I asked everyone in this room to explain what has been happening recently on all the fronts associated with this problem, you, Bill, would be the only one that would know the answers to it. So please take 5 minutes a week and keep the public updated much better than you have been. The river and all of its organisms are depending on us to stop killing them. And we aren't going away unless and until we know that the problem is being fixed. Really, Bill, it seems like it would be well worth your effort for no other reason than to get me to stay home on council nights. Think of how wonderful that would feel looking out in the audience and not seeing me. Isn't that by itself worth 5 minutes a week? Thank you.
Hi. I'm Clarissa Spiller-Yvonne, 413 South 3rd Street. I live directly beside Franchot Park. My family's lived there for over 6 generations. For 5 years, loud, vulgar music has blasted through my home, my neighbors' homes, the entire park on a daily basis. Even with our windows closed, there is no escape. The music is filled with racial slurs, profanity, violent lyrics, blasting so loud that it drives the families out daily. I can't leave. I live there. I'm raising a 2- and 4-year-old there. And it affects everyone at Franchot Park, not just my family. Toddlers, soccer teams trying to play over violent music, families at the waiting pool being bombarded with profanity, disc golfers trying to enjoy a peaceful game, parents afraid to bring their children to the playground, and a neighborhood held hostage by freeloaders exploiting a public park with no rules, almost every single sunny day, 365 days a year. This is why Franchot Park has a bad reputation for over 4 decades. Last fall, 8 months ago, 8 months, I warned you guys that this was becoming dangerous, and nothing was done. So I was forced to handle it myself, and I ended up being tased and my family attacked by 10 people on my own property because the city refused to step in. Meanwhile, my family has paid over $32,000 in property taxes over 5 years. Franchot Park, the entire 10.5 acres, barely generates $25,000 in rentals for the same time period. So we've paid more than our share and got nothing in return. I would also like to remind the council, especially Alderwoman Forney, that you ran your campaign promises, and I quote, on the following: clean and safe and welcoming parks, family-centered activities in our community, allocating resources to protect and increase property values, and everyone deserves to feel safe in their neighborhood, and I quote. But here we are, and Alderwoman Forney, I ask you directly, is blasting racial slurs at toddlers on a playground what you call safe and welcoming? Is driving families away what you call family-centered activities? Is forcing lifelong residents to live under siege what you call everyone deserves to feel safe in their neighborhood? And is letting a neighborhood be terrorized what you would call allocated resources to protect and increase property values? Try to wrap this up. So let's talk about allocated resources. Every noise complaint at Franchot Park pulls multiple officers, city vehicles, and dispatchers off of real work, costing about $85 per incident in labor, fuel, and time. Over the past 5 years, that's about $8,000 wasted. Meanwhile, solving the problem would cost probably $200. That's a few signs, 1 meeting, 1 vote, and 1 signature. And that's yours, Mr. Mayor. I'm not a crackpot. I'm not an outsider. I'm Clarissa Spiller-Ivan. I've been part of this community my whole life. You know who I am. And you know exactly what's happening in Franchot Park. So you have a choice to do something or let the neighborhood continue to fall apart. Mayor Olean, if you want to cement your legacy in this city's history, do what no mayor has been able to do before you, and restore the order in Franchot Park by banning audible amplified music without a permit. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else?
Good evening. I am a Haudenosaunee environmental engineer, and I am also an environmental health specialist. My ancestors are from Red House Lake up on the Ohio. And to my dismay, I found out that the city of Olean is still continuing to discharge raw sewage into the Ohio. Back when I was an environmental health director, and I actually visited the Olean wastewater treatment plant. I even actually worked with Brad Camp last year on potentially partnering on a wastewater treatment grant. And I don't see it as fault at what's going on with the discharge going into the Ohio. And I see it as a fault of these oligarchs in this room. It's not okay for this to be happening. What happened to the millions and millions of dollars that was set aside and put forth to correct this problem? I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of my work that I used to do. When I was an environmental health worker here in Cattaraugus County, I worked at a local trailer park where they decided, you know what, our pipe that is going out to the sewer with our waste actually is clogged. But rather than actually dealing with the problem, they decided to just unhook the pipe underneath their trailer, and just some of them let the raw sewage go right underneath their trailer. Some of them decided to let the pipe go behind their trailer. And you know, they had their children playing in front. And I was responding and trying to alleviate the problem. Every single one of you are just like them, but worse, but worse. So I want to know, what keeps you up at night? And is it the fact that what happened to all this money? Is it the fact that you continue to put the lives of so many people at jeopardy? Not only do you just think that the waste just goes and disappears, you think it's okay to bypass the waste. It is not okay to bypass any of this waste. Then, you know what? The bypass needs to be shut off. And if that means that raw sewage backs up into people's homes here in Olean, that the raw sewage stays here where it is your problem, then that's what needs to happen. Speaking from one of my late relatives, one of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy water protectors, Nicholas Snow, the creator will make sure that the waste stops going into Yohio. The bypass will not be allowed to continue, and that will be made sure that that will be stopping. So unless you want all of your residents complaining that they have raw sewage also back into the basement, you better deal with what's happening with the raw sewage going into the Ohio.
Kevin Bartholomew, Bishop Street, Olean. Okay, there's been a whole lot of discussion here in regards to the waste treatment and the raw sewage being dumped into the river. It mostly happens when you get inundated with rainwater. I was wondering how simple it would be if you put a storage tank. Size, I don't know what the size is going to be. But once you get to a certain point, you can pump it into the storage tank and let the system catch up. And once it catches up, it can dump the purified water into the river. You're not going to end up with raw sewage or anything like that. Granted, it's going to cost money, but it's going to cost you a whole lot less money doing it this way, and you'll make a whole lot of people a lot happier than having to deal with this week in, week out, every week. And it's been an ongoing thing for 40, 50 plus years. You know it and I know it. You've seen it when it rains and it floods up here, up at top of the hill. And we get rain and it gets hard. And once the waste treatment plant gets filled up, they can't handle it. They have no choice but to dump it in the river. In fact, I hate to say that, but they have no choice to. So how many gallons get dumped into the river when you figure that out. Now figure out how big of a tank you have to have to hold it. Granted, it may involve a couple pumps, a few pumps, a tank. I don't know, I'm not an engineer. I don't know what the engineering part of it is, but I would imagine it could be a whole lot cheaper than what you're gonna get socked with in fines and everything else if you let this thing continue. Because you can only kick this thing down the road for so long. It's like kicking a can down the road. You end up in an alley, once you get into the alley, you have no way out. And you're at that point, you're in that alley, and it's getting to the point where you're not gonna have a way out. And it's gonna cost you, and cost you dearly. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. Chris Jesse, 213.5 Tompkins here in Olean. Things to consider. Things that have been mentioned again and again and again. Like I say, we keep coming back. Legacy. We keep mentioning legacy because we want you to do something now, Mayor. It's what you promised to do this year, 2025. Legacy. We keep mentioning legacy because We don't expect to see you in these seats at this time next year. We want you to do something that you can be proud of before you leave these seats, before the next election, where other people will be running against you. Kicking the can down the road, as the man said, been doing that for a long time. There's a whole lot of cans in the road. We want you to clear the road. We want you to clean the water, fix the pipes, take care of the contamination, the toxicity going into people's homes. Whatever legacy you leave behind over the next few months, that will be remembered. We're counting it now. We're not going to wait until the election. Do yourself a favor. Do yourself proud. This could be the last year that you're sitting in these seats. We need action. We won't accept anything else. Regards to reporting, we keep coming because we're not getting the answers. As Mr. Wall spoke and illustrated for you, we really need to know what's going on. We're going to come up with our own theories like we do with what's going on with Washington. We need you to tell us what's going on. We need you to assure us that you're doing something. And we need you to demonstrate that. Not difficult. Get to it.
Anyone else?
Hello. I don't have much to say today because all of these people have said, probably more eloquently than I have, everything that needs to be said. I'm simply adding my voice as a grandmother of 2 little babies and speaking for the other little babies and as an ally to those down the road who had no say in this being dumped. And again, I want answers. Many of these people have already spoken for me, and I will keep coming back because it's got to be cleaned up right away, and we need all the information. And I feel really strongly I will be back, and whatever it takes, whatever it costs, for everyone's sake, this needs to be done now. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Call public comment closed. Make a motion to adjourn, can I get a second? Second by Alderman Anastas, all in favor?